also against a guy who was on the way up there, who made it to the top, but had some struggles, and now he's on the incline trying to get back up too. So it's two guys trying to get back up. I think it's a great situation. But the biggest thing I got to say that I love about Errol Spence is that Errol don't want no easy fights.
Boxing is in a better place. So, Errol, welcome back, brother. We excited to see you.
I mean, if it's the old Errol should walk through Tim Tszyu.
The build-up to fight night always brings out the analysts with their charts and reputations online, and this matchup is no exception. When two fighters with contrasting styles collide, the boxing world wants a winner picked. Months of back and forth have only added fuel to the fire, turning this into more than a fight. It's a rivalry both men are desperate to win.
I think stylistically, it's the last hurrah for Errol Spence. Get in and watch his last fight.
But you plan, I guess, plan for a retirement plan, would you say?
Of course. If he's already talking about holidays and retirement plans, then this is his last goodbye.
Errol Spence Jr. enters carrying the weight of his comeback, while the early dismissiveness toward Tim Tszyu has shifted into a more measured respect, suggesting Spence now recognizes the challenge in front of him.
Man, I didn't go back and forth with him. I felt like I wasn't disrespectful to him. It's a fight, and I think I heard something he said about he gonna do me like Pandora did Keith Thurman, and just talk like this, talk a whole bunch of crap, and then he expect me to come shake his hand, and I just wasn't in the mood for that. It's time to fight. We in a tough fight. He said it's gonna be a war, then let it be that.
For Jarrett Hurd, the respect runs deeper than just admiration for Spence's skill. He points out that there's no pattern of coasting through soft opponents to pad a record here. Win or lose, Spence keeps showing up in the fights that matter, the events that actually move the needle. That willingness to stay in the biggest rooms, Hurd argues, is exactly what's kept his stock high in a sport that punishes anyone who plays it safe.
Yeah.
The fight Tim Tszyu, man.
Now that's the one we want to see come back, because one thing I love about Errol, man, shout out to Errol, because no matter what, whenever he come back, he ain't taking nothing easy.
Right.
He said, I don't take no tune-ups, and which is actually smart, because no matter how this fight turn out, he's a headline pay-per-view main event name.
Yeah.
The same thing Kambosos was doing. Even though he came back after the loss with Devin Haney, he'd fight a name after name after name, because it never brings his value down.
From there, the discussion turns to a familiar shadow hanging over any fighter coming off a long layoff: ring rust. Hurd doesn't dismiss the concern, but he frames it through Spence's own logic. When the work in camp is genuinely translating, when the reps are building real conviction behind closed doors, there's no reason that shouldn't hold up once the lights come on. His conviction on the outcome doesn't waver. Spence wins this, plain and simple.
Errol Spence doing, you know what I'm saying? I mean, hope he's gonna be not no too much ring rush, and he ain't got nothing to prove, man. Go in there and just win the fight. That's what you gotta do.
And it's funny you say that about ring rust. I thought the same thing. Now, he changed my mind a little bit when he said, you know what, if I look good in training and sparring, why wouldn't I look good in the ring? So this ring rust is just a mental thing. So, I mean, I can see that, but so you got him winning that one?
I got him winning that one for sure.
Ronnie Shields takes that admiration a step further, arguing this isn't just a comeback. Years away from the ring hasn't diminished Spence. If anything, the layoff seems to have sharpened him. He points to a body that stayed disciplined through the downtime, punches in camp that look cleaner and more fluid than before, and a defensive shape that's noticeably tightened up.
Well, everybody's right who say he's not going to be the same. He's going to be better, so much better than he ever was. His body is well rested. He feels really good. Everything is going great. And as you saw today, his punches are fluid. He's strong, and he's throwing the punches to where I think he should throw them. And defense is looking good, so everything is going great. And hey, everybody that's thinking he don't have anything left, just wait.
He walks through how he ended up in Spence's corner in the first place, brought in after Spence went looking for the right voice to guide this next chapter. He pushes back on the outside narrative that painted those 3 years as empty space. Before signing off on any of it, Shields put him through a real gauntlet, refusing to take anything on faith and demanding proof that the old level, or something beyond it, was still there.
Really nothing, because I realized that if you take care of your body, like he's done for the last 3 years, then he never stopped working. That's the thing people don't understand. They think he was off for 3 years. No, he wasn't. He kept on working by himself. Never thought he would come back. He said just one day it hit him, I think I'm gonna come back.
whenever you talk, obviously joining forces, anytime you ever told him, like, hey, like, I feel like you don't look 100%, or, you don't look like, I guess, the vintage Earl, I will have to tell you, maybe, this is not the route we need to go. Did you ever have that conversation?
Yes. And the first thing I told him was, the first day, I said, you've been working out, right? He said, yes. I said, okay, I'm gonna put you through some hard workouts. And I say, it's not gonna be easy. I'm on 6 hard rounds. And I determine then if I think we can continue.
Pressed on what he actually expects to see against Tszyu, Shields keeps his answer disciplined. Trust the strategy they've built. Don't let the moment overwhelm the approach. He points to the balance Spence has struck this camp, knowing when to pull back and recover. Whatever chatter exists outside those gym walls, Shields makes clear none of it factors in. The only benchmark that matters is whether Spence walks in fully locked in, operating at his peak.
Look, I just want him to be himself. Despite what everybody say or what everybody think, the way we train him, I just want him to stick to the game plan. And whatever happens is going to happen. But right now, I feel really great how everything is going. His defense has really picked up really, really well. And, evidence of that is inspiring. And, he's just working hard. So, he knows how to rest. And that's the most important thing.
For Roy Jones, this matchup says as much about character as it does about skill. He frames it as two fighters both climbing back toward relevance, and calls it a compelling setup on paper. But what stands out most to him is Spence's refusal to play it safe. No soft matchups, and no shortcuts. Spence wants resistance, real tests, and the fact that he chose to face someone who stayed consistently busy over these past 3 years, unlike Spence himself, speaks volumes about where his head is at.
Trying to get back up, I think it's a great situation. But the biggest thing I gotta say that I love about Errol Spence is that Earl don't want no easy fights. Earl don't want to fight guys that are nobody. Earl want to fight
AKA
somebody.
No tune-up.
No,
he don't want no
tune-up. He
tune-up.
wants challenges. You understand me? He wants challenges. And for him to challenge a person like Tim Tszyu, when Tim Tszyu has been regularly fighting for the last 3 years, he's been not doing much. That says a lot about Earl, but that tells you exactly how much fight is still left in Earl. Earl is a guy who's always coming to the party to dance. He don't have time to play no game.
For Tim Tszyu himself, the magnitude of this moment isn't lost on him. He recognizes that both men are walking in with something to prove, Spence shaking off the rust of an extended absence, and himself looking to cement that his rise is legitimate. It's that mutual pressure, paired with the clash of styles between them, that makes this pairing so compelling to him in the first place.
Yeah, stylistically, what he's got to prove as well. This is the best division coming up. So yeah, there's just a lot on the line for both of us.
When the fight got offered and Errol wasn't going to take a warm-up, and he went straight in after 3 years out, did that surprise you? Was you surprised by that?
To a certain extent. But I know the type of fighter he is. He likes to take on, again, hard challenges. But I'm going to give him that regret feeling. He should have taken a warm-up fight.
He breaks down Spence's style in blunt terms, a steady, unrelenting rhythm of pressure. He describes an opponent who doesn't let up, who keeps grinding until the other fighter is left with no middle ground. Adapt and survive, or get swallowed up by the pace.
Honestly, I haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
But I feel like Errol's is a monotone type guy.
Yeah.
He's what he's good at is that constant pressure, constant punching. And it doesn't have to be flashy and quick and stuff like that. He knows when to throw the punch, and he keeps on going until you have to be until it's sink or swim type situation. So that's what he's good at.
He then shifts to what he actually plans to accomplish once the bell rings, and it's less about technique than it is about psychology. After years spent at the summit of the sport, after the titles and the acclaim, he wants to find out if that same fire is still burning the way it once did, or if comfort and time have dulled the edge. If the uncertainty creeps in, Tszyu is betting it changes everything about how the fight unfolds.
No, not really. I'm preparing for the best. The biggest thing for me is to test his heart. How bad does he want it? When you've been there, done that in the sport, it's sort of like, do I need to do this? Do I need to keep on going? That's what I want to test when he starts talking to himself.
Yeah. Do you think his heart, he can question? You will make him question himself in there.
Well, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
If you take the heart away from him, then he's gone.
Regis Prograis takes a more layered approach to breaking this one down. If the version of Spence that once terrorized the welterweight division shows up, the one Prograis remembers as ruthless, he doesn't see much of a contest at all. That Spence, he believes, walks through this fairly comfortably, but that's exactly where the uncertainty creeps in. Prograis isn't convinced anyone can say with confidence which version actually steps into the ring, given how long Spence has been away from real competition.
He should be able to walk through him, but we don't know. We don't know what Errol Spence we gonna get. That's the thing, you know. Like Errol Spence been off for a long time, and you know, and sometimes when you're rich, it makes you a little soft. You know, sometimes, you know, I don't know how it would make Errol Spence, but the old Errol Spence, man, was a killer, bro. I think a lot of people just forget, and I hate that about boxing. People forget how good Errol Spence really was. You know, like he was Errol was a dog at one point in time. He was really a real killer in the ring, you know, besides the stuff with Crawford. But man, if the old Errol comes back, I think that I got Errol Spence by landslide.
He widens the lens here, speaking to a truth he sees as unavoidable in this sport. Power, he explains, tends to be the last thing a fighter loses. It lingers long after other tools have started slipping away, drawing from what he's lived by himself and watched happen to others around him. Prograis points out that no amount of modern recovery outruns time once a fighter crosses into his mid-30s. That is what he sees as the only flaw which can become a hurdle for Errol.
I mean, the speed will leave you. Power always will be there. You know, power go beat up forever. I saw I saw, man, George Foreman hitting the bag before he did. Now, rest in peace, George Foreman, but I saw him hitting the bag, you know, probably right before he died, not too long. So the power will always be there with you. Now, the speed and reflexes, that's the things that do leave. You know, Errol is, he's 36, you know, he's right under me, you know, so that is old for a fighter. Now, people are taking care of their body a little better, but it's still old for a fighter. So like I said, we would have to see what happens. We would have to see where Errol shows up, because the reflexes, they do leave.
Touching on something he considers one of the hardest parts of any comeback, rediscovering that original obsession once a fighter has already achieved what he set out to achieve. He argues that chasing a paycheck alone will never replicate that hunger. Money, in his view, is never the right fuel for stepping back into a sport this demanding.
I mean, with me, you know, I'm not gonna speak on everybody else, but like, it's like, you know, what makes you fall in love again, you know, fall in love and be obsessed with that again if you did everything already. You know, like Tim Tszyu, they not fighting for belt, they not fighting for, like, what do they fight for? Just a lot of money. If you do it for the money, that's always the wrong reason. You know, like, you know, when I was coming up, I never did it for the money. I mean, I know the money was gonna come, but I did it because I loved it. A lot of guys, they're hungry right now. A lot of good guys coming up, they're very hungry because they do it because of love. So with him, it depends if he still love it. I don't know. Like I said, we shall see with that.
Lonnie B approaches this from a place of genuine worry, rather than pure analysis. He sees this fight as an especially steep challenge, marking Spence's first appearance since the setback against Crawford, and admits there's real hesitation in how he views it, to the point where part of him would rather not watch Spence step back into that kind of danger at all.
I think it's good. I think it's good for Spence. I mean, Tim Tszyu is a lot to bite off of a first fight back, coming off his destruction of Terrence Crawford. I just think that's, if I had to pick, I would lean more towards Tim Tszyu. It seems like I don't know how Spence, I just don't know, you know what I'm saying? And the way he looked, I don't want to see Spence fight again. That's just me. And it's emotional for me because I'm a fighter.
That concern deepens when he revisits his previous fight, where Spence's ability to take clean shots looked noticeably compromised. It leaves him bracing for the possibility that history repeats itself, that Tszyu could be the one to hand him another loss, or worse, force an early finish. It comes down to legacy. He'd rather hold on to the image of Spence at his most dominant than watch him risk further damage chasing a version of himself that may no longer be there.
I would rather Spence just go out with that right there and just remember him from being great in his time and just fighting a guy that was better than him. Like, I don't want to see him lose to Tim Tszyu or even get stopped by Tim Tszyu. You know what I mean? The Spence that we got.
So you think that's what's gonna happen?
I'm going off his last fight and him getting hit, not taking shots. Well, I can see it happening. Not as detrimental as Crawford did it, but I can see maybe something like that happening.
With that framing set, he lays out his prediction directly. Tszyu gets the win, and does it by stopping Spence before the fight reaches the 9th round. He backs that confidence up by pointing to what this moment represents for Tszyu, a chance he understands could reshape the entire trajectory of his career. And that kind of opportunity, Tszyu believes, brings out the best in a fighter.
Like I said before, you know, I mean, Tim's a dear friend of mine. I love him dearly. But I don't give predictions based on friendships. I give predictions based on my boxing brain. And I do believe Tim will beat Spence. I'm not saying it because he's a friend and I want him to do it. I believe that Tim Tszyu will beat Errol Spence. I believe that he'll stop him inside 9 rounds. I'm not taking nothing away from Errol, but I think Tim knows he's got, this is it. Career's on the line here.
He goes on just how unforgiving this fight is for both men. A finish inside the distance, for either fighter, could realistically mark the end of their run among the sport's elite. Given those stakes, he expects Tszyu to fight with the same measured, calculated approach he's shown in his wins, staying composed and disciplined, rather than reckless, all while never losing sight of the fact that this is an opportunity he has to finish decisively.
I think, look, a loss for either guy. We'll put it this way. A stoppage loss for either guy's career ending. I don't care how it is. So if one of the guys lose on points, and it's close, then there's a chance they can fight on. But if Errol or Tim happens to one of them gets stopped, it's career over. There's no way, I don't think, to rebuild them, especially with all the superstars around at the moment, the Boots Ennis's and the...
He breaks down the blueprint he wants to see from Tszyu right from the opening bell. He wants him to immediately reintroduce Spence to the sensation of real punching power, something the layoff may have made him unfamiliar with. To get there, he points to setups built on deception, the disguise intentions before unloading the shots that actually carry weight behind them.
So I don't think it's going to go in his mind. I think he's just, excited to have this opportunity, and no limits put him there. And now it's up to him to close the deal, and I believe he will. I believe he'll be on song. And I believe he'll have too much for Errol Spence. But I like him to start early. Really, remind Spence that you've been off for 3 years. This is what it's like being hit hard. And, jump on him early, but do it intelligently, obviously. I don't mean just go out there blazing like...
The sport's biggest voices are bringing into fight week, split between respect for Spence's pedigree and real doubt about what 3 years away has left behind. One thing every analyst agrees on, this fight won't stay quiet for long. Drop your prediction in the comments, and if you're locked in for every breakdown before fight night, make sure you're subscribed.